Everyone wants to live an inspired life, yet so many people search for happiness following the footsteps of peers and taking advice from people who have different values and outcomes to which they're searching. There are people born into wealth, graduated from the best universities in the world, and there are people who have none of that and yet are living extraordinary lives full of fulfillment and reward. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and strategies that allow you to question the status quo and think freely, so you can design your life and be who you want to be. We get one life. Time is our most valuable asset. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on meaningful work, we become better human beings. This is Always Free, and I'm your host, Jason Graystone.
Welcome to the leading podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jason on social media and subscribe to the Jason Graystone YouTube channel for weekly videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the weekly newsletter to receive frequent educational content and action steps to help you design your life so you can be who you want to be. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.
Whoa, welcome back to the podcast, guys. Hope you had a good week. Bit of a busy one for me, but hey-ho. Getting ready to launch the new Tears of Freedom program. Anyway, if you're listening to this for the first time, this is the number one podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation, and highly recommend you go back to the beginning, start listening there, and share it with anyone who you think needs to hear it. And if you haven't already left this a review, if you're an avid listener, and you haven't left this a rating and review on iTunes, I really appreciate it if you do, because I got a question the other day saying, how many are you going to do of these, because I love listening to them. I'm just going to go as long as I think people are getting value from them. So those reviews and ratings are a great way for me to go and look and make sure I'm still providing value and you guys are still liking it. So I wanted to talk about this thing called hard work, because I've been working on delivering this new program, and over the last few weeks I've been kind of putting out some content into the Facebook group and sharing with people how it all kind of structured and fits together. And one of the comments that I got from a newsletter actually was, I'm taking on board kind of everything that your newsletters are saying, and I'm watching your content, and it looks like it's extremely hard work. And they said that I make it look so effortless. Why do you think I find it so hard, they said. So I wanted to talk a bit about that, because first of all, hard work doesn't really have anything to do with it. And I'll tell you what I mean. If you think about a teenager, for instance, sitting at his desk, a programmer, teenage programmer. I work with one. I've got one on my team, okay? Very, very valuable member of the team. Helped develop my app and my program. And if you think about that teenager sitting at his desk in a dark bedroom, right, for an hour per day, that teenager can earn more money and have more freedom and more fun than a roofer, okay, slugging his guts out in the blazing hot sun in the summer, working really hard, lifting weights all day, carrying heavy weights all day, out in the sun and bearing the weather, the rain. That's hard work, right? Roofing is hard work. Coding requires very little physical effort. And there's a formula for work. All right? Work equals force times distance. So work equals force times distance. That's energy. Work's defined as a force times distance. Okay? It's basically a measure of the energy expended in applying a force to move an object. Okay, so if it's a formula, there can also be a negative. Work can also be a negative. So the amount of work that you put into something is literally the amount of force that you apply multiplied by the distance that you apply it. That's work. That's the definition of work. So the people who are the hardest workers, okay, they work hard, they're the ones putting in the most force over the biggest distances. It's nothing to do with money, and it's got nothing to do with how much money you make at all. And if they're repeatedly putting in great amounts of force, then they haven't come up with systems or tools or delegations to not have to do it. And if they haven't put the effort in to develop systems, tools, delegations, or skills to not have to do it, then they won't make much more money because they haven't invested in their knowledge. It's got nothing to do with hard work. Hard work's going to the gym and lifting weights, 6 sets of 12 repetitions. That's hard work. You're lifting weight over distance. The thing that makes your self-development feel like hard work is fear. Okay, it's just fear. You attach fear to the journey. It's nothing to do with hard. And I'll put this in context for you. Let's just imagine that let's just say that you go out into your corridor, okay, or your hallway, and you paint 2 parallel lines on the floor, okay, about 1 foot apart. Imagine that. If you close your eyes and imagine there's 2 painted lines on your hallway floor about 1 foot apart, okay? And if I then said to you, do you think that you could walk 1 foot in front of the other all the way to the end of the hall whilst staying in those lines and go the entire distance of your hallway? Your answer is probably yeah, right? You'd probably definitely be able to do that. Of course you will be able to. Now, let's just take the same example, but instead of your hallway, let's just pretend that you're on a skyscraper in New York, and there's no wind or anything like that. Okay, there's dead calm, and that 1 foot wide strip is a ledge on the side of a skyscraper, and it's 200 feet in the air, 300 feet in the air, and you've got to walk across it then. How would that, do you think the task would feel harder then? Of course it would, right? But is the task harder? It feels harder, but is the task harder? No, it's exactly the same exercise. It's exactly the same exercise. So the thing is, you've got this comfort zone, and you live in your comfort zone. You've set it up. You live there. You feel comfortable. You feel safe. Once outside of that comfort zone, you'll feel like you're exposed to more judgment. Okay, and the more money you make, the more success you have in business, the more people you serve, the more people will judge you. The more people will try and judge you and ruin it for you. Okay, and if you're not ready to deal with that, and you've got a strong fear about what other people are going to say, then you'll just keep playing a small game, and it'll be very, very frustrating because you're trapped in this comfort zone, and then every now and then you'll push against the border of it, and it'll feel hard. It'll feel painful, and you'll think that that's hard work. So it's important that you don't confuse the two, because another thing is, when you're trying to accumulate wealth or you're trying to earn money, then money doesn't really have anything to do with hard work. It's not related at all. If you've got this thing in your head that the more harder you work, the more money you're going to have, that's not necessarily true. It's much more wise to focus on leverage, okay? Systems, skills, things that allow you to generate income without putting in maximum effort and force over distance, okay? Because that is freedom. When you're not focused on doing hard work, that's when you feel more free. And the thing about money, it doesn't care. It's not biased towards those who lift heavy things. It's not biased to those that work their self into the ground. That's not what it's about. You want to be developing leveraged income streams. So one good tip for this is if you think you're afraid of something, here's the thing. If you go and write down 10 things that you're most afraid of for being judged by other people for, okay? Write down 10 things that you're most afraid of being judged for by other people, and then go and do them all. Do them all. If you're afraid of something, go and do it, do it 100 times if you need to, until you're not afraid of it anymore. And I guarantee you won't be afraid of it anymore. Now, the reason that this feels like hard work when I've been putting out a lot of pieces to the Tears of Freedom puzzle is because it's lots of components that feels hard because they've got to push against the boundary of that comfort zone. But the purpose of the Tears of Freedom program is to make it as easy as possible, okay? Because what is hard is when people jump through it the wrong way. They go straight to tier 1 and they're speculating and trading, and they're basically building an upside down pyramid. Whereas the Tears of Freedom program takes you through a methodical, a repeatable, a proven process so that you have the strongest and most highly probable chance of succeeding and growing wealth. And when you follow the process, it isn't hard work at all because you're naturally progressing through it. You're removing fears and doubts. You're growing, okay? You've got momentum, and by the time you're through that program, you don't care. Like, nothing's hard. You don't feel like anything's hard. So I thought I'd throw that out there just as a kind of interim podcast this week. I'm really involved this week with launching this program. It's going to launch on Monday. Okay, if you're not part of the Facebook group, you can request to join that. There is a big waiting list on there at the moment, but they are being filtered through, and you will get through if you're just patient. It's if you go to tearsoffreedom.com/mastermind. But go in there and you'll hear all about it. And if you're not signed up to the newsletter, okay, jasongraystone.com. So until next week will be a bit of a longer one. This was kind of an interim, shorter session. But until then, have a great rest of your day. And if you're in Ireland, I'll see you tomorrow because I'm doing a workshop in Dublin. And until then, take care and I'll see you then.
Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.